can you just go over any injuries that might be popping up on the report this week?
Sure. Don't expect it to be anything that affects his status moving forward. We just might be smart with him throughout the week. Leonard Floyd had a little bit of a back strain. Don't expect that to affect his game status. Van Jefferson had a little bit of a shoulder. Same thing as far as don't expect that to affect his game status. Darius Williams, waiting on him to get evaluated on a shoulder injury. So I'll have further information as we get that. Unfortunately, Jordan Fuller got his ankle pretty good. He's going to require surgery, possibly. And so he will be out for the remainder of the year, and that's a big loss for us. Buddy Howell got his hamstring. I don't know how significant that'll be. Could be anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks. Taylor Rapp is being evaluated. He's in concussion protocol. And then everybody else, your typical bumps and bruises.
With Jordan Fuller, who would step up in that case?
Yeah, I mean, Nick Scott's done a nice job playing in that. I thought Terrell Burgess came in and did a really good job as well yesterday, Lindsay. So we've got a couple candidates, and a lot of that is predicated on, all right, what kind of personnel groupings and the approach and the best way that we feel like we want to try to defend the multiple looks that Arizona can present.
And then just going back, yesterday, Matthew said that it was a really tough environment to communicate in really the whole second half. I'm curious how much that kind of caught you guys off guard, or if it did catch you off guard.
Yeah, I think, it did catch us off guard. I think just because of the way that it's been this year. I mean, you've been at all those games, Lindsay. I mean, it's been a great atmospheres, great environments. Yesterday was the same thing, but there was a lot of red there. And that was, that was definitely, it was a surprise, I think is a fair way to put it.
And then with Matthew, this is obviously not his first playoff appearance. Has been 3 times before, but with him never having won a playoff game, do you, with your vast experience now the last several years in the playoffs, have any kind of one-on-one conversations with him just about what that takes?
No, I mean, he's played playoffs. He's played in playoff games. We'll talk about what we think it's going to take to go win the football game, but I really thought he was trying to will us to victory yesterday. I thought he made some incredible throws. I thought he was outstanding on third down. There was a lot of really big time, that drive to put us up 24-17. I mean, you just talk about the location, the toughness, the ability to stand in there and make some of those plays. So we'll go about it the same way, Lindsay. But, I think it was his first division that he won yesterday as well. And he certainly was as instrumental as anybody in helping lead us to 12 wins. And, yesterday was weird because it was 2 really good teams back and forth. I mean, that was a big time battle, and you give the Niners credit, and it was disappointing, but we're going to shift our focus and concentration and our energy in the right direction. And what I don't want to get lost on our players and the totality of it is, hey, we're always trying to compete to win. You guys know how competitive I am, how competitive we are as a team. I got a lot of respect for the 49ers. They did a good job. But what I don't want to get lost is the totality of a 17-game body of work where they won 12 of those games. You end up winning a division where 3 teams are in the playoffs. Really proud of this group, proud of the resilience, and I'm looking forward to responding with these guys the right way and what we know is going to be a great atmosphere and a really tough game on Monday night against the Cardinals in the playoffs. Here we go.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome. Got a lot more than what you wished for there, huh?
More better than less. Appreciate it.
There you go. Better than yesterday. Yes. Hey, I'm always going to be real, at least. I was pissed.
You can always quote a mood in a story, so that's all right.
Yes.
Hey, I think you called me next, Artist. I heard a sound, so okay, thanks. Sean, just wanted to clarify on one of your earlier injury notes. In terms of the defensive signal caller role, obviously you're limited because that guy has to stay on the field the entire time. So who among your players do you think that might be now in Jordan's absence without Ernest?
Jalen did a good job at that yesterday. Guys like Jalen, Troy Reeder, T. Howard's played really well. Typically it's always going to come from kind of those central parts of the defense, but there's always exceptions. And Jalen is definitely a candidate for that, but we'll see as we move forward. Those inside backers or Jalen would probably be the most likely candidates as we move forward.
And then I know you guys are trying to move forward, but I wanted, if possible, to revisit the end sequencing of the game. Von Miller makes a big stop. You guys get the ball back. And then in that first, second, and third down, the 3 run calls. And it seemed like appeared like you were trying to get them to use up all their timeouts before a final drive, but I'm wondering what your process was and whether you might troubleshoot that moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of things went into that. The previous sequence did definitely dictate and determine a little bit more of a conservative approach, but also Matthew's toe injury did as well. There were some different things that maybe you would activate as far as moving the spot, changing the launch point that, he had gotten he had hurt his toe at that point in the game and, was a little bit hobbled. Now he ended up finishing and doing a good job, but whatever I say, yes, the thought process, I still felt like there was a chance we could convert running the football. We've been in some of those 4-minute type of situations, had a couple different runs with some heavier personnel groupings, one of which on the second down, I thought we had a chance to maybe come out cleaner. They did a good job defending it, but it was the totality of it all. And if you said in hindsight, maybe be a little bit more aggressive, it didn't work out for us. I'm always going to try to learn, but I don't want to be, I think the thought process in the moment was sound, but it didn't work out for us. But you do want to close games out. I had every intention of trying to convert a first down, running the football, and also having them utilize their timeouts. It wasn't like we're just taking a knee. You felt like those runs would have a chance. They had stopped us pretty good on the run. There was a couple things that maybe I would have done where you're still underneath the center that give you some run pass options. But if it's not there, then you've got the opportunity to still keep the clock running or force them to use that third timeout. So there was kind of all those layers were in effect right there. And that was kind of the thought process in the moment there. It didn't work out for us. And I want to be better and I want to learn from those as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate that clarity, Sean, because I don't think we were aware that Matthew had injured his toe. What happened there? And
he was just hobbled on. He had gotten hit on a third down earlier, and he kind of came up limping a little bit. And he doesn't say. I mean, he's so tough, but it was maybe certain phases of your offense, just a little bit more limited in terms of my ability to execute at the level that we all know he's capable of. But it wasn't like he was going to come out of the game. But there's just certain things that. Maybe you would potentially call on those scenarios that, you're not as comfortable with the ability to execute at the level that you want.
Some of the actions, things like that.
Yeah. And then moving the launch point, changing the spot a little bit.
And then do you anticipate that to be an issue moving forward?
I don't. He came in, he felt good today. He was just typically sore. That's why I didn't mention him in the earlier parts of this, but in the moment that was kind of, what we were thinking and what I was thinking.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Kevin.
Hi, Sean. How would you evaluate Jordan Fuller's second season and how important he's been?
Yeah, been really important, Kevin. I think the first thing that you want to acknowledge that I think is really a great reflection of the influence that he's had on his teammates as he was voted a captain in his second year. He's a great communicator. He's got a great feel for the deep part of the field. I think he's got a great ownership and understanding of kind of the intent behind a lot of the different coverage contours. Times that we can drop him down in there, just different things that we're trying to get done. I thought he made the play of the game, arguably, against Baltimore last week. I thought he played really well yesterday. I thought he played good in close quarters. I thought he tackled well against a really physical football team offensively. And so I think he's taken steps in the right direction to be a really good player for a long time to come, Kevin.
Mm-hmm. This is the second time in 2 years you'll open the playoffs against a division opponent. How does that change the dynamics of preparation?
Not too much. You just have a little bit more familiarity with it, but it's going to come down to the same things that are in alignment with winning football games. Executing, taking care of the football, getting takeaways, tackling, breaking tackles, being good situationally, third down and red area. But I think it's just the familiarity with it, and then especially just having played them. When you look at when we played Seattle, it was a couple weeks prior. It was just about a month ago that we had played them last. So you got a lot of games in your breakdowns that, that we'll have seen on each other. So familiarity is the biggest thing, but still got to go play in those 3-hour windows and do a great job of playing our best ball to see if we can move on and advance. Yeah, it's March Madness in the NFL now.
I'm sure it would have been nice to go into the playoffs on a winning streak with, consistency on paper and all that. But what gives you confidence now that the team can string together 4 playoff victories?
Yeah, that we got a chance to respond, and this group has shown that they can respond. Sure, you want to play every game to be able to win, but I think the fortunate thing and the half glass full approach that we'll take, Kevin, is that still found a way to win the division by winning 12 of your 17 games. Guys came ready to go. They battled, just didn't make enough plays. And there were some things that you certainly want to do as a coach to help try to facilitate finding a way to get that done. But I'm just grateful for the opportunity that we have to continue to play. And that's what gives me confidence. And then if you just look, you can always draw on previous experiences. Going into the playoffs, winning or losing really hasn't been much of a factor on how teams do, depending upon whichever lens you want to look at it through. So we're going to choose to say it doesn't mean.
The mood seems a little better today than last night.
No, you know what? Here's what the reality is I'm disappointed, but what we're not going to be afraid to do is put everything that we have in to go try to get the win this week. And I'm grateful for another opportunity with these guys. I was disappointed yesterday. That's real. That's a human emotion. And I'll never run away from those feelings because of how important it is and how much I care about the people that we're doing this with. But what I am interested in is spending the energy on the things that are in alignment with what's next and what we can control. And the reality is all we can do is take this energy and gear it towards having a great week of preparation for the Cardinals. Let's learn from the things that we have to do better that'll be in alignment with trying to win that game. And that's the truth of where I am. It might take me 12 hours to get there, 14, however long it is, but that's where we're at.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Artist, you're gonna have to bleep that out at my press conference.
I like the color. I like the color. I think we'll keep it. I like the color.
Hey, Sean, can you evaluate how Cam Akers did, and what do you think is the plan with him going forward?
Yeah, I think I thought he did it. I mean, I think to be out there, Gary, was a great reflection of Cam. I think with the amount of touches he had and the space that he had, I thought it was very limited in what he could really do. But I think that's going to be big for him, just getting out there, playing tackle football. I thought he did a good job with what he could control. I think you want to make sure that, I'm doing a better job of trying to set our players up for some better situations, and then we're able to execute a little bit better. But I think you're going to see him feel a little bit more comfortable next week, and hopefully we'll execute and be more efficient in some of those phases that we can get Cam involved.
And what do you think you guys have to do just kind of overall to not just, I know you're just looking at the Cardinals, but to make a run to the Super Bowl? What do you guys have to do over the next 4 games to get there?
Yeah, I think the first thing, which I think where this is going, is we have to play really well against the Cardinals. And that's all that really, I think if you look at it in totality of 4 games, that's really not the process and the procedure that we want our guys to go about, how you maybe get a chance to look back and say, oh, wow, look what you did. If I had said we were going to have a 5-game win streak in the last, win 5 of our last 6 or whatever, those seem like, oh, that's a great challenge because of the competitiveness of this league. But I think what we want to do is have every day in alignment with improving and giving ourselves a chance to play our best football on offense, defense, and in the kicking game against the Cardinals. And then if we get a chance to do that and we advance, then whoever that next opponent is, let's have that same sort of focus and concentration in how we do it against that next opponent. And so I do think we're capable of playing complete football. I like the way that we've won games in different ways this year, Gary. But a lot of those same things that you've seen when we're playing well, when we're winning, we're playing complementary football like we saw in the first half. How do we continue to do that through the third and the fourth quarters to be able to finish out games against really good teams like what we played yesterday?
And then finally from me, we've seen you after losses before, some, consequential losses. Yesterday, you were, as you said, pissed. I mean, really pissed. Was it just because of what was at stake, or because of decisions you made or some other people made, or what do you think went into that in terms of that particular reaction?
I think I'm getting grumpier in my old age of 35. I think, honestly, you know what? I just think that's how I was, and I do think that there's an element of, I don't ever want to be rude or short with you guys, but I was disappointed because of the amount of energy that you try to put in to try to, to see the success that you want to have for those people that you care and you love so much that you do that with. And so that was just I was disappointed. Certainly the first thing that I want all of us to do, myself, players, coaches, is let's look inward at what we can do a better job of to trying to obtain the results, but you don't want to get too far away from it because that can be skewed, because the crazy thing about this game, right? Like, let's just say we make a couple plays. Let's just say we connect with Odell and Matthew. The temperature of this conversation is totally different, but how many of those plays are different prior to the 3 or 4 that maybe go on that change the result? They're not. And so that's the delicate balance between being consistent in your approach while also having the agility and know that, hey, it is about trying to go win football games, but how you consistently give yourself an opportunity to do that. But I think the answer to your original question is I'm just getting grumpy as I get older.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Hey guys, we got a lot of hands here, so we won't be able to get 3 or 4 questions for everybody. So let's try to make sure we kind of be efficient with our questions. I'm going to start with you, Tim.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned talking about going on past experiences. How have you grown as a head coach in your tenure, successful tenure here, and how will that help you going into this playoff run?
I think the first thing is, I think it's always about just continuing to learn, that there's different ways to be able to get it done. And I think, part of the ways that you grow is you learn how to take some of the disappointments and channel the energy in the right direction, kind of like what we talked about earlier in this call. But what I've continually said when similar questions have been asked, in recent years or just previously, Tim, is that it's all about the people that you're around. And I'm continually reminded of that. And I'm very grateful for the players, the coaches, and I'm confident that over these last 5 years that I've been in this role, we've had the mental makeup to respond from some setbacks in the right way. What we need to do to get the result that we want has got to be in alignment with our preparation, being, tight-knit, sharp. We want to have great clarity and communication with our players throughout the course of the week, and then ultimately give them a chance to go out and execute with a quieted mind. But I think the biggest thing is learning how to kind of shift your focus in the right direction with things that you can control, as opposed to wasting unnecessary emotion on things that you can't.
And then, Coach, I'll end with this. This may be a bit tough to answer, but how is your level of confidence, or what is your feeling going into this, game against the Cardinals as opposed to Super Bowl season?
Yeah, I'm very confident in this team, and I think what I've continued to realize over the, experiences I've had here, just as a coach in general, is what's so great about the NFL is I don't think the best team always wins. Who plays the best in that 3-hour time window wins, or who makes and creates their breaks. And then sometimes you have some things go in your favor that really are out of either team's control, with the bounce of a ball, or, sometimes a call can affect the outcome. And so we've been beneficiaries of both positives and negatives in the 5 years that I've been here. But I think because of the ability, when I see each of our phases play at their highest level, if we can find a way to play our best football in this next month that we have a chance to play, then I like our chances. Now, we got to go do it, and I got tremendous respect for the other 13 teams in the tournament, but I got a lot of belief and confidence that if we play our best ball, good things can happen for the LA Rams.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Nick.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, it's been an incredible season for you guys, and obviously playing the Arizona Cardinals twice, winning one, splitting the series, I should say. But how much do you take from those 2 games as you prepare for this week, and how much of it do you just go ahead and throw out and just watch film for what it is and try to execute a game plan based upon that?
You take a lot from those games. You understand, the trajectory of the season from when we played them, and I believe it was week 4, to then when we played them, a month ago, very different. So there's a lot more stock in the most recent game, as it pertains to personnel and how they've evolved schematically in all 3 phases, and kind of how they're accentuating their personnel and doing different things. And so you do use both of those games. The most recent is the most beneficiary, and then those games that they've played lately. But the familiarity definitely changes the approach, where you've seen every single one of their games. Sometimes you don't want to over prepare, where when you've got 17 games of inventory, that can be a lot, where you can almost kind of water down information. But because we've played them in the beginning parts of the year and then the later parts of the year, you got a lot of exposure to these teams, and it's going to be a great challenge.
And then also, too, when you obviously looking at the adversity that you guys faced in the last several games, How much do you feel like that's helped you when you lose, unfortunately, when you lose guys like a Jordan Fuller and have to depend on other guys to kind of step up in his role and be able to continue to move forward as if nothing happened, even though you guys lost such a tremendous player like him and others along the way?
No question, Nick. Yeah, you don't ever minimize the impact that those guys have when they're not out on the grass. But I think the confidence that we've gained from having a lot of different guys that have had to step up for a variety of reasons, whether it be injuries or COVID or different things like that. And then I also think our coaches have done a good job of utilizing different personnel groupings where you get a chance to take advantage of all 48 guys that are up during the course of a game. So do have confidence. I think some of those guys that we talked about, whether it was a Nick Scott or a Terrell Burgess, both stepped in and did a nice job yesterday. You don't ever replace a guy like Jordan Fuller, but you are confident in the depth that's been developed from Raheem, from Coach E, from Jonathan Cooley, and really from the players being able to work, hard day in and day out to be better at their craft and be ready for if their opportunity is called.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
Dennis.
Hey, Coach McVay, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Dennis?
Great. Coach, how much are you pleased with the play of Von Miller the last couple of games? And how much do you expect his experience to kick in, in the postseason?
Yeah, I'm very pleased, Dennis. I think he's come up in crunch time and thought it was going to be another kind of game-winning type of play that he made similar to Baltimore, where he ended up having a big-time sack in their second-to-last series before the end of regulation. And so he's made a huge impact, got a great way about himself day in and day out. I think that experience, having been a part of a team where you go win it and then you end up winning the MVP of the game, playing in those big-time games, those big-time atmospheres, those guys like him click into another level. And I think that's what we're excited about seeing. And that's what we've seen each of these last couple of weeks.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Greg.
Hey, Sean, losing another defensive back and then two other guys being evaluated, Darius and Taylor. Is there any chance Robert Rochelle comes back this week?
There's a possibility, as far as if we could actually start his 21-day clock, I'd have to get with Reggie and see where we're at with that. That hasn't been something that has been discussed yet, but that conversation could definitely be had, and I could have a different answer for you on Wednesday when we reconnect.
Okay, and there are a lot more vacancies in the National Football League than there were 24 hours ago. Have any of your assistants been requested to talk to teams?
There have been, yes, and I here's what I would say, and you artists, you kind of tell me. I mean, I do we want to? How do you want me to go about that? Out of respect, I mean, you guys will
Out of
see.
respect, I don't think we should say their names. Right.
There you go, Greg.
Take
All
that as a
right,
yes.
artists.
Take that as a yes, then.
Artist is a bad guy, not me. I'm just kidding. But yes, and you know what, Greg? Here's what I would say on top of that. Similar to what Jordan asked when we were at SoFi a couple weeks ago. It's one of the most, it's really cool because, every single year, when you get around here and you see these vacancies open up, you realize the competitiveness of this league and how you never want to take things for granted. But then to also have guys that are getting opportunities to go compete for a position that I couldn't be, more grateful to be in is a really special thing. And these guys have contributed in a huge way to the success we've had as a team. And as a result of that, good things come to them. And so that is rewarding, even though it makes for a much more stressful offseason for the Rams and for me. But those are champagne problems, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
Well, the Chargers were a few seconds away from you and all three of your former assistants being in the playoffs in the same year. So that would have been pretty cool.
That would have been. You know what? And what a great game, back and forth. Brandon's done a great job. That's going to be a good team for a long time.
Stu.
Hey, Sean, similar to what Greg asked about Robert Rochelle, but along the lines of Ernest Jones, I know when you placed him on IR late last month with that high left ankle sprain, it was still to be determined if he was going to return this season. Has there been any additional clarity on his status since then?
Yeah, there's a chance later on if we're able to continue to advance. It won't be something that would be potential for this week, Stu, but if we're fortunate enough to handle our business, then that could be a conversation that's revisited, whether it's the following week or the week after.
Thank you.
Kayla.
Well, can you guys hear me? Oh, hey, Sean. Artist, this is kind of, I guess, towards you now. Can we ask about a specific coach or should I just dead it?
Well, I just think that it's not our news to report. Whatever team is interested in them, I think out of respect for the process, we should let them comment on who it is.
Totally. We will pass. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Mike,
I'm here. Sean, I know there's been a lot made about your play calling decisions in the second half, but after the loss yesterday, for you guys, Kyle Shanahan said that decision on 3rd and 1 at the end of the first half to sort of run the ball, get the first down, maybe go deep pass incomplete, change the momentum, gave him momentum. They came down, got the field goal, got the ball back in the second half and scored. In hindsight, doing it again, or if you get that opportunity again in the playoffs, would you make the same decision knowing what Kyle said?
Yeah, I didn't hear what he said. You talking about the 3rd down and 1 at the end of the first half for us?
Yeah, then you punt the ball and they come down and get a field goal right at the end.
Yeah. I felt, we were kind of playing it conservative where I'd run it the previous 2 snaps, kind of moving the clock down. We got a look that we wanted on 3rd down and 1, and ultimately we ended up, getting sacked right there. But I thought I felt good about what we had a chance to get done right there. And, they ended up executing better than we did right there.
all right, we'll wrap with you, Maria. You're on mute.
Gosh, you would think I would get this by now. No more questions about the coordinators, but what is your feeling about playing on Monday night? Generally, these games are Saturday, Sunday, but lo and behold, you will not have a regular week this week again, Sean.
Like I was saying earlier, we're gonna spend our energy on things that we can control. We're playing on Monday night. So the positive approach is we get an extra day of getting recovered and rejuvenated from a good, tough game yesterday. So looking forward to a great atmosphere at SoFi on Monday night.
Thank you.
You're welcome.